What's going on, everyone? Welcome to QVO Games. My name is Juan. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much. This video is going to be about the games coming to retail the week of October 9th. We have 4 games coming out. It looks like sounds like a small list, but throughout the rest of October, we actually have a couple more games coming out. A lot of games, actually. This week's just going to be 4 games that I can track down the exact release dates for. We don't mention any games that we can't find exact release dates for, only to be maintained or kind of get rid of the false information, false advertisement. However, let's get the video started and let's get this going. There's going to be 4 games. Ooh, I almost said the game. Wait for it. So, there's going to be a really popular game that's getting deluxeified edition for it. It's a really popular game. The moment I mention it, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. So, there's other 2 games, and one of these games have actually received a lot of coverage, and a lot of advertisements been around. A lot of content creators have covered it at different conventions as well. So, I'll make sure to explain that when we get there. Let's get the video going. Keep in mind, I am covering the US release dates, so that means some of these games may have already been released in different regions of the world. If that has happened, you might have already seen coverage, you might already own the game, potentially, of course. So, keep that in mind that I'm covering US release dates specifically. Also, keep in mind the shipping crisis is still going on, therefore there may be some delays on games, or games may not be released on the days that we mentioned in this video. If that does happen, I will make sure to update you on its new release week in that week's video on Monday morning. That's usually when the videos go up. I actually have been pretty consistent with that schedule, and Mondays is when it goes up. If it doesn't go up in the morning, it'll go up during the day, but typically it has been on Monday mornings. Keep that in mind. Let's get this video going. Let's start showing off these games. First things first is going to be Agricola 15. This is the game I was talking about. Agricola 15 is going to be coming out October 10th. So Agricola, if you don't know what that is already, it's a game where you're playing as a farmer and you're raising or building your farm. And it's a worker placement game, and the whole thing is you're collecting resources, building up your farm, as well as you kind of go through the cycles. It almost reminds me of, like, if you play video games, Harvest Moon, the video game. You go through it, you have your wife who now helps you with the chores around the house, where you send her out to worker placement, of course, as a worker placement, and you also eventually have kids who also help you out with the farm. Keeping that in mind, Agricola is a really popular game. Really, really popular game, and it's the game I have yet to play. I am trying to get it to the table. Actually, I'm trying to play it. I don't own the game. I'm trying to play it, and I'll get it to the table because I don't own it. I'm trying to play the game. I might just end up calling it and just try to find it online digitally and just play it online. That way, a lot of people who I haven't played Agricola make fun of me about it. Like, how are you a content creator if you haven't played Agricola? I mean, there's a bunch of other games I played as well. So, Agricola 15 is going to be a deluxeified version of that. It's been 15 years since Agricola's been out. It's going to be deluxeified copy, deluxeified components, bonus tokens. A bunch of the wooden pieces are going to be upgraded and they're going to be deluxeified. Agricola 15 is coming out October 10th. Coming up next, Fire and Stone Siege of Vienna 1683, coming out October 11th. This game is going to be it's a war game, asymmetric war game between 2 players. It's a 1v1 style game. And the whole thing about the game is based around the Siege of Vienna in 1683, which is a real-life battle. Typically with these games, I'm not really familiar with non-fiction style games. More of my taste and theme is usually fictional themes, like fantasy, or even fantasy, superhero, comic book. I mean, things that are more not like fiction style board game themes. However, I have fallen in love with one non-fiction game. At that point, it draws a line if it's considered fiction, non-fiction, because it's based on a real battle. However, I have fallen in love with one. Firestone Siege of Vienna is not the one, but this is the one coming out October 11th by Capstone Games. This game looks interesting. I have seen a little bit of a gameplay. They have a video here actually by Man vs. Meeple. Let me just scroll down slowly. A really good video, explains the game itself and also goes deeper into the history of the battle. Typically with these games, which is really interesting to me, is that they actually go over the mechanics of the game, or the cards in the game represent different battles or things that happen within the battle historically. Some of the cards represent that, or even the components themselves are specific moves. Going over the components here, it's pretty simple. It's a really straightforward game with small pieces, and it's an asymmetric game of battle. You're playing as the Ottoman Empire versus the Habsburg. That's kind of the 2 people. That's the 2 groups fighting it out, and your whole goal essentially is to demoralize the other enemy and win the battle. That's all it is, but playing cards, and you have different troops and such and setups here going on. Interesting stuff. This style of game I fell in love with a different game that is not this one, that is similar to this in a war style game. I actually really like the game. So now I'm more open-minded to the fact of trying these new different games, the more non-fiction style games. So Firestone Siege of Vienna 1603 looks like an interesting pick for me. It's coming out October 11th by Capstone Games. Coming up next is going to be that Old Wallpaper by AEG. AEG is releasing a lot of games, and they have been doing a really great job to cover and promote the living of the games, right? So all the games have been promoted so well. The Old Wallpaper is a really straightforward pattern building game with cards. That's essentially what it is. It's a pretty simple game, straightforward. Your whole goal is to build as many patterns as possible with the cards you have in your hand, and you're going to do that and create shapes, and at the end of the game, you score the shapes. That's really straightforward. That's what it is. These games typically, simpler games usually don't attract my attention too much. It really depends and varies. However, these games sometimes are good for the collection. I have many times have been exhausted and still want to play games. However, it deters me because I don't have many. I didn't have many easier games. So I just would rather just go to something else. But now that I have the easier games, it's easier to bring them to the table and just play a game almost all the time because I have easier games where I just kind of feel, oh, I'll play this easier, lighter game. The Old Wallpaper is that, essentially. It doesn't really have much strategy or deep complexity to it. There's a lot of coverage, of course, of different videos, so I definitely recommend checking it out if you're going to consider buying the game yourself. Simple. Have cards, build patterns, get points into the game. I would almost say it's like just a light point, not a point salad style game. It's a light game. Keep that in mind. That Old Wallpaper by AEG coming out October 14th. Ready, Set, Bet by AEG also coming out October 14th. There's going to be a betting game by John DeClaire. If you know who John DeClaire is, really popular board game designer. Very, very popular. He has a bunch of different titles under his belt already, and this is going to be one that actually has been promoted very, very highly by AEG. I mean, it's all over social media. It's literally every convention they have been promoting. They have been promoting it a lot, so keep that in mind. Ready, Set, Bet, straightforward, horse betting. That's what the game is. You're going to bet on the horses. You're going to play it over 4 rounds, or a horse reaches the end, or reaches like the final. The horse wins basically the race. That's when the whole game is over. You count up your money that you've won. It's a betting game. That's it. That's what it is as a whole. It's a complete betting game. It looks pretty cool. They even have apps for it. I actually not noticed that when I was looking up the games itself. They have an app for it. So Ready, Set, Bet. It's a betting game. I'm trying to show you the track here. Oh, okay. It's gonna be kind of big. Let's actually go smaller. The track. I hope they have the board here somewhere because I really want to show you at heart. That's the racing. Yeah, I don't think they do. Okay, so actually, let's see if I can find the picture here. The rest of the AEG titles. Excellent, that's fine. So we're actually going to go over here. So if you look at right here, there's going to be just a betting track. It's going to be different numbers. You're going to bet on different horses. Are they ahead? Are they first? They're going to fall behind. It's a bunch of different bunch of different variables on the horses that you can bet on. The game itself, it's literally just that. It's a betting game. You're going to be betting on the horses and getting as much money as possible by putting your bets down. Excuse me, really, really interesting. The game itself doesn't really attract my attention, but if you like betting games and gambling a little bit, this kind of can scratch that itch without going to a casino or wasting your real money. You can waste fake money instead. Ready, Set, Bet by AEG coming out October 14th. And that's it. That's all 4 games coming out this week that I can find exact release dates for. There's a little bit of like clouding in between that because a lot of games have been coming on Essen. Essen happened this past weekend. Well, it's happening now for me, but past weekend for you. So Essen had a lot of games that came out. So I have to be really careful. I don't want to showcase those because they may not be coming out of the US. This might be released in the Europe area, right? Or where Essen's based in, which I believe is Europe, somewhere in Europe. So keep that in mind. Yeah, a lot of great games. Couple of good ones. I may actually be picking up 2 of these games because I really want to try them out and kind of showcase them to you for content on TikTok or even on YouTube. Okay, so yeah, let me know what you're purchasing this week. And if you made it this far into the video, I appreciate it a lot. Drop a comment below and let me know which game you're going to pick it up or what games have you purchased so far this week. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to know more about it. Have a great one.